Thank you for tuning in to Upon the Rock broadcast. I'm your host, Pastor Lawrence Shakir. I believe the Word of God will build a godly foundation in the lives of people. There is more available information on our website. You can log on to shakirministries.org. Now, let's go into today's message.
She hid until she can't hit anymore. The vision was too fragile to expose. It can be killed by one critic, one hater, one person who never fulfilled the vision in your life. So anytime you let people keep talking and they don't really celebrate with you, I watch people when you're talking, they're like that. I watch people's faces. Not everybody's like that. Some people just really got one of those listening faces where they just kind of look at you like this. But for the most part, if people don't really celebrate with you, just kind of take that as a red flag. Not saying that they're evil. It just means that you just know that you can't expose this to them because that may be the crocodile in the river. And I know these are kind of like elementary illustrations, but I want you all to see the vision behind that. Is that these crocodiles will just devour anything that's out there. And if your vision is very important, if your business is very important, then cover it up as much as you can. But once you cover it, you're going to have to expose it. You're going to have to just go for it because it will cry out too long. See, the baby was quiet, but then it begins to cry. And that's when that vision starts to cry. It starts to say, you got to let me out. You've been carrying this thing for a long time. You know the ins and outs about it. You read the books. You got the mentors. You got everything. But now it's a crying of the vision where it starts to come out in your conversation. It starts to come out in the way you spend your time. It starts to come out when you start to talk about it and how you spend your money. There's a crying of the vision that needs to take place. And sometimes you got to just go for it. And it's a land of risk. I mean, when she placed her baby in that basket and let him go down that river, that was risky. That wasn't something that you just do every single day. That was risky. But, faith is spelled R-I-S-K. If you don't have any kind of risk, then you're really not operating in the real faith realm. Some of the stuff that you have to do, if it comes too easy, then it's not faith. It's not something that you can really ask God to bless because there's no risk there. But when you cover it with the pitch and tar and you sit it out there in the crocodiles, any real visions from God that has substance will outlast the crocodiles in the river if you just kind of just put it out there. But there's the crying of the vision that I got right here. And it says that when she no longer could hid him, she exposed her vision to the world to watch to see what will become of it. Like I said before, once you just put it out there, sometimes you got to just watch and see it. Is it going to last? Or is this just me? Because you can write down, a lot of people write down a lot of plans. I mean, you get people all the time talking about, oh yes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it never gets off the paper. But there's a time where it has to come off the paper and it has to go out into the world. And let it be exposed to the crocodiles. And if they eat it up, then okay, what did I do wrong? I need to go back, put some more pitch and tar on it. But if not, then you have something. If it lasts, it may not be perfect, but it's there. It survived the crocodiles. And so you got to come out and see what's going to happen about it. The Bible says that you need to hide the vision until it cannot be hidden anymore. In other words, when people see it on you, that's when you know that you're actually moving in this thing. It's not just something on paper anymore. It's something that's a part of your life. When I started the church, before I did anything, I had ideas about what I wanted to be. But when I started to actually just start moving that realm and start paying for it and start talking about it, then other people start to see it on me instead of just something in me. Because when you have a vision, sometimes you're the only person that see it that way. But when it can start getting on other people, that's when you know, okay, this thing is really crying now, okay? Cover it as much as you can with the pitch and tar, and then you got to just put it out there. Once you cover it, put it out there. And notice that she didn't give the baby a name. She just kind of just called him the baby because his name was not Moses until Pharaoh's daughter pulled him out, because Moses means drawn out. So the mother didn't call him any name. So that indicates to me that you don't need to have everything perfect in your business plan in order to put it out there. Some people want to say, well, it got to be 100%. No, it doesn't. Sometimes it can be 80% or 70%. But you have to kind of just put it out there and see what somebody else will call it. You got to Sometimes you may not have to have all the answers. Well, it's going to be called this way, and it's going to be this and this. No, if you put it out there, let the result speak for itself and let somebody else say, oh, okay, this thing did this for me. That's how I got the name for the church that I built, is that when I start teaching people the Bible, they say, oh, I got a foundation. At least I got something I can stand on. And that's how the name of the church came about. It was the foundation of the world. But you have to kind of just let people just let it be exposed to them and see how it affects them. And then you can kind of build more stuff around it. Y'all follow what I'm trying to say? I got some revelation knowledge out of this teaching a little bit. And so you got to just put it out there. And then what else I got right here? The vision is too fragile. Oh, okay. God's ultimate goal is for you to get paid to do something that he has already birthed inside of you. You all know the story. When Moses was found, well, before his name was Moses, he was just called the baby. But before he was found, his mother gave birth to him, but then his sister Miriam said, should I go get the child's mother or get a Hebrew woman? And she went and got the child's mother. And then Pharaoh's daughter ended up paying Moses' mother to take care of her own child. What am I saying? God birthed a vision, a dream, a goal inside of you. And its ultimate goal is for that dream to take care of you. Not so you can just kind of just work for it and then have to work over here. There's nothing wrong with having a part-time business and having a full-time job. There's nothing wrong with that. But God's ultimate goal is for that vision, that dream he gave you to be your main source of income that can take care of you. It's not up to the world so much to take care of you, but God wants to be like your employer because he knows you have a heart that if God is your employer, that you're going to do the right thing. You're going to do what God calls you to do. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So God wants us to reach for something, but he'll never meet us in that land if we don't kind of put something out there with the pitch and tar. If we don't cover it, if we don't do our job by covering it up and doing as much as we can and praying over it and fasting over it and making sure that nobody's going to destroy it and keeping it from the crocodiles in the river, if we can just keep on just doing what God called us to do, I'm doing my hands again. If we do what God calls us to do, then God can bless that, but he needs us to do our part. Because the vision from God will always be there and it will never leave. But he's kind of waiting on you to kind of get in line with what he's doing. Yeah. All right, so watch this. It's okay if you don't name your vision. You don't have to have all the pieces together in order to move forward. You don't have to have every single detail. That's what paralyzes a lot of people because they don't have all the answers. But it's okay not to have all the answers because that vision will keep crying. And it'll keep crying, and then sooner or later you gotta just go for it. You gotta go for it, because if you don't, it will end up running the risk of dying in the crib because somebody else heard it and they took it from you and probably did something with it, and you're like, hey, that's my idea. Well, you wasn't doing nothing with it anyway. So you gotta make sure that if it's time for this thing to come out, and God will give you an unction. If it's time for it to come out, take a deep breath. And cover your eyes like Abraham did and just take a step of faith. And when you do that, you'll see God will start providing. She didn't know that the Pharaoh's daughter was going to pick him up. She didn't know that this was going to happen. She didn't know that the crocodiles in the river wasn't going to destroy it. All she knew was, I got to just put it out there. And God, you see as much as I'm doing, you see how I care for this baby. I'm going to give this vision, I'm going to give this dream into your hands, and I'm just going to see what happens. Sometimes that's what you got to do. In order for you to kind of really be successful, you got to have that kind of faith, okay? So watch this. What else did I say right here? I said that already. Sometimes let others see what you're doing and let them call them by name. I said that already in a brief description of the church. I'm almost there. Number 4. Number 5, I said. Right intentions, wrong performance. Right intentions, wrong performance. What does that mean? You can have the right kind of intentions, but the way you do certain things can cause you to succeed or fail. Moses grew up. He went out to see his Hebrew people. He said, sometimes you got a few experiences under your belt, and you know what you're talking about. And you're almost kind of cocky with it. Not that you're trying to be, but you're a little bit cocky with it. Oh, I know this material. You got to listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. And that's good. You need that knowledge, but you also need lessons in humility. So Moses was there. Had the right intentions. He saw a Hebrew man getting beaten by an Egyptian. And his intentions were right. He says, I know I'm a deliverer. I know I can save the people because I'm drawn out. That's what Moses means. I'm drawn out to do something special. I'm not just here to just exist. So I'm drawn out to do something. I'm going to deliver this person because I know I have the capability to do so. So he went out there, killed the guy, and buried him in the sand, right? And, the next day he walked out like nothing happened. Saw some other people fighting. And what he say? Hey, what are you doing? You need to stop fighting. And then the guy got in his face like, who you think you are? Just because you killed the Egyptian the other day. And then Moses realized, oh my goodness, somebody saw what I was doing. What am I trying to say right here? Is that you can have the right intentions, but you can have the wrong type of performance. I would say Moses was a little bit cocky, because sometimes you could be jumping in people's face and saying, I got the answers, and people are pushing you away and not receiving you because your timing is wrong. The way you come to them, you're too eager. You're doing too much. You get people that just kind of just doing too much. They're trying to make themselves be important. Have you ever met people like that? It's like, oh, sit down somewhere. You ain't all that important. But they see themselves that way, and that's good. You need that healthy amount of self-esteem, but at the same time, you need to be humble a little bit. You gotta know that, okay, I can do this, but I'm nothing without God. You gotta have that if you're gonna be successful in business. And so at this point, Moses really didn't have that humility. He would just kind of I know what I'm doing and I'm gonna deliver. But see, anything you can put in your mind and say that I can do this, God always has so much more in store. He wanted to deliver the Israelites one by one maybe, but God wanted him to deliver a whole nation. He didn't see that though. So Moses recognized the need and decided to respond. You may have a product, you may have a business that can bless the world. But the book of Hebrews said that he killed the Egyptians hoping that his people would understand. But they didn't understand. And sometimes you may have a product or a business and you hope people will understand, oh, you need this product because this is going to bless you. And they just kind of like, no, I don't need that. And you're like, why? Because your timing is wrong. It's not time yet. You probably need to learn a little more lessons of humility. So he looked this way and that. Sometimes you can look around and say, okay, I got this ready. But he didn't look up to get orders from headquarters. So in your pursuit of looking around, yes, I got this ready. Did you look up to God? Did God give you the green light to go forward? Because you had the skills, but did God tell you, now it's time to go? Because before God gives you the green light, he always gives you this kind of test so you can kind of see where you're at. Because you need that kind of confidence for yourself. But then when it's time for you to kind of move, that's when God tells you to move, that's when you move. Not because you think you're ready. And too many people jump out there because they think they're ready. I got the answers. You're going to listen to me. But they will push you away saying, who do you think you are? And people get discouraged when, you're putting all that energy in. Don't you see that I killed this Egyptian? And you putting all that energy in and only to receive so little results. I've been working at this business so long and I've been doing this and I'm not getting any results. Well, you got to keep doing it then until God gives you the green light. Because when God gives you the green light, it's going to work every single time. But you can't get ahead of God. When it comes to the timing, you can't get ahead of God. Jumping up in people's face because you won a few victories does not make you qualified to lead. Just because you won a few things doesn't mean that people need to listen to you, right? Well, I got this, I got that. Thank God for the degrees. Thank God for the certifications. Thank God for all of that. But if God doesn't give you the green light, you don't supposed to be leading yet. Because he knows your heart. It's not time. You're still in the oven. It may look good y'all bake a cake. I baked one cake in my life. And it didn't turn out good. It looked good at the top. I cut that thing in and all that goo came out. I said, oh Lord, I'm never gonna do it again. And a lot of people are like that. They look good on the surface, but inwardly they're not done. And that's what God says. You may think you're done because it looks right, but you go ahead and cut that thing open, yeah, you ain't gonna take another bite. And that's what happens when it comes to some of us that are a little too eager, that we look good on the outside, we look all polished, we got our resumes, we got our degrees, we got everything, but our heart is not ready. And God is saying, go back in the corner, learn some lessons in humility a little bit, and then when it's time, I'll bring you out. And when I bring you out, everybody's gonna know it. But you got to wait on that time. And that's when it comes to being sensitive to God's voice. Okay? Go and do it again. Everybody loves to go and do it again. Everybody loves the burning bush. That's one of the main stories when you hear Moses. It's the burning bush, right? But before God gives you the burning bush experience, he will always take you back to the last test that you failed. And a lot of times, we don't look at the last test. We look at the burning bush and say, oh, I got the green light. But before that green light comes, it's the same test again, but on another level. And this time, he was going to deliver some other people. This was the daughters of Jethro. Jethro's daughters were being harassed by some other shepherds. And then Moses looked this way and that this time, but this time he looked up. And when he went and saved them and rescued them, he didn't jump in their face like, look at me, ooh wee, look at me. He didn't do that. He kind of just walked away because it was part of his duty this time. It was part of his lifestyle. He just did it because this is what God called him to do. And sometimes that's the source, that's the foundation that you have to do is, I'm doing this because this is my calling. Not because I'm trying to gain attention from you, but I'm just trying to just be a good person. And I'm giving you this product or I'm making this business because I know it's going to be a blessing. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to force my product on you. I'm not going to force my business on you. I'm just going to do the duty and then just walk away. That time he saved the people or the girls, the ladies, and then he kind of just walked away. Wasn't expecting anything in return. But then God made to the point where he ended up marrying the daughters, and then he got a child with the daughter. And then he became a shepherd of the sheep for Jethro. So sometimes after you fail and learn, God will kind of humble you a little bit. And then he'll start to add little by little, the wife, family, the boy, and then more responsibilities by Jethro. And then God sees your character developing, that you're not jumping in people's face anymore, and you're not trying to be somebody great. And sometimes it may take years of eating humble pie and years of trying to just stay on your face. And God sees your character develop. He sees your business develop. And at this time, Moses kind of forgot about being a deliverer. He probably did because some years went by. And all the Bible talks about that other generation died. So it's almost like Moses forgot about what he'd done, but God never forgot about it. And that's the thing. Some people think that, it hadn't worked. I'm going to just go back and just kind of just do what I wanted to do. And before you know it, that dream will start to come alive again. And you're like, Lord, I don't want to fail again. I don't want to fail. But no, this time you're ready. Because the environment is ready. The people are dead. They're not looking for you. And you're ready because you have humility now. And so now the burning bush comes and says, go and do it again. And it's like, I don't want to because I don't want to fail. But this time, if I'm with you, God is saying, you're not going to fail. You just have to just take courage and just say, I got this. Not in a boastful way, but you just have what God is looking for. So before the burning bush experience, there will be a few more tests. This time he walked away. I talked about that. After God allows you to fail, once you fail enough times and it doesn't hurt you and you're just used to just kind of failing and learning, because anytime you build anything, when it comes to a business, you're going to fail a lot. But a lot of people don't like to fail. They want, like the world thinks, you got to succeed in everything. No. Anytime you're trying to create something, you're going to fail. When my first child was born, I dropped him 3 times. I dropped him 3 times, but I learned on the second time. And every time he dropped, I cried louder than he cried because I thought I broke him. But, he fell off the couch, he fell off the bed, he fell off the crib, he fell everywhere. And but I learned. I learned not to do certain things. So by the time the second child came around, I was a little bit more ready. But y'all see what I'm trying to say? You got to fail and learn so that you can know what not to do. And then Moses did that. And at this time, he wasn't even trying to go back out there. God had to kind of like kick him out and make him do it because he was so used to just being content with what he'd done. But now God says, no, I still raise you up to do this. You still have a dream from me. You still have something from me, and if you can just go and do it again, it'll work. It'll work this time because you're ready for it, and the environment is ready for you. And then that's a perfect harmony where God can start to move. Y'all follow what I'm saying? So you got to go for it. again. You got to go for it. You got to just go. Even if you fail, you got to just say, okay, this time I'm going because God told me to do it. I'm not looking this way and that anymore. I'm looking up to Him. And as I keep looking up to Him, no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay anyway.
Thank you for listening to Upon the Rock broadcast. If this message has been a blessing, you can help us spread the gospel by sharing this message with your friends. Also, if you're online, please be sure to contact me, either through our website at shakirministries.org or through social media. I would love to hear from you. Together, we can build a godly foundation in the lives of people. Until next time, please know that I'm praying for you, and I hope to see you on our next broadcast.